Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am picking out a listing on Zillow and we're going to look at the property condition and the financials of it. Just kind of like a high level, because I know there's probably a lot of you out there that want to get into investing in real estate but don't know exactly what to look for in a property or how to underwrite a property. So we're going to do this on a smaller level, just looking at a double today. I know there's a lot of people that say, well, you got to go bigger, you got to go to like a 4 unit or an 8 unit. Well, yes, it doesn't hurt to go to a 4 unit or 8 unit, but that requires a lot of capital. So if you're starting off like myself, you don't have a lot of capital in the beginning, well, you just need to get in, you just need to get involved. So you need to buy the property, start managing it, running it, get to know the tenants, get to know how to manage people, manage tenants, manage the maintenance issues. So the smaller you start off, even though you're just starting, the most likely the better off you'll be, because the mistakes that you do make, because you are going to make mistakes, won't hurt you financially as if you were to buy an 8 unit or a 10 unit and you make a few mistakes that could set you back years. So we have this property, 138 East Hazeltine Ave. It's in Kenmore, New York, and it's at 310,000, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,870 square feet. Nothing crazy. I mean, from just, let's look through the pictures quickly. From the outside, yeah, from the outside, the curb appeal is not too bad. Looks like the other properties down the street here are in decent condition, probably a little bit better. But this is a double, so 2 unit, upper and a lower. I do like the hardwood floors. One, they're durable. Two, they look great, and it looks like there's some all natural hardwood for the trim and the molding too. So that's good to see. I do see a radiator in there, so it's hydronic heat. I believe that's what it's called, where you have a boiler downstairs and it pumps the hot water through the radiator, and that's where you get your heat. Bathroom's in rough shape, so that could be something that maybe you would want to renovate in the begin, well, maybe down the road. But I guess in this case, and any investor that's starting out, you want to buy a property that's going to cash flow from day one, or at least break even. So you don't want to get yourself underwater from day one. So that's, if you're going to start renovations on this, either one, you have the capital, or postpone the renovations off for maybe a year or a few months, maybe until the lease expires in one of them. And then you can ask the tenants to leave and start your renovations. But you don't want to burden yourself too much with, a lack of cash flow, putting a lot of money into the renovations. So, I mean, so far, not too bad. Again, 2 bedroom, 1 bath for each of the units. The kitchens are very dated, so you want to definitely renovate those. I would recommend for those kitchens at least a year down the road. Get yourself stabilized, get some cash flow. Maybe if you're working a job too, more capital to put in the renovations. But yeah, countertops. You could probably keep the cabinets, maybe new hardware for the cabinets. New sink, definitely. Flooring's updated. You need new appliances. The only thing that's kind of sticking out to me now is, what is this? Like the tenant's going crazy and scribbling over everything. So you want to figure out how long this tenant has been there and what their plan is, because you definitely don't want a tenant that's going to be drawing all over your cabinets, even if they're old and outdated like these are. Like that's still not okay. So you want to check into that. That's one thing that I would do. I mean, of course, you're going to want to do that on all the properties you look at, but specifically with this one, if there's any damage caused by the tenants or writing on the walls or whatever, you want to make sure that that tenant's going to be out prior to move-in or prior to closing, or maybe that tenant is already out. So there's another bathroom. It almost looks like it's in the basement. So I don't know what's going on with that bathroom. Boilers, these do cost a lot of money, so about $7,000 to $10,000 to get it replaced and professionally installed. Because in New York, you cannot install any HVAC units as a non-licensed professional. So definitely would hire those out. Can't save any money there, but they don't look too bad. New hot water tank, that's good. A.O. Smith is a good brand as well. Some newer glass block windows. So those are all things you want to take a look at. The items that are going to cost a lot of money. Painting the inside of a unit is not a lot of money. Doing the countertops is a little, decent amount of money. Flooring is decent amount of money. But those are all, I guess when I'm looking at it, like those are all things the tenants touch, see, and feel. The paint, the countertops, the flooring. So that's going to drive rent a lot more than saying, oh, I just replaced the furnace. Well, great. I mean, your furnace or boiler should have been working, prior to me moving in, or whatever. It doesn't have a lot of intrinsic value for the tenants. On the sale, it does, but not for renting it out. So, yeah, overall, there's the upper kitchen, dated again. You could paint those cabinets, new hardware. But I would postpone the renovations for now. And then, like I said, just get the apartments rented out if they're not already, and cash flow coming in. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers here. So we are in this property for, let's just start off with 310. And that is 310 as well. We'll play around with those numbers once we get to it, but it was built in 1928, 1870 square feet. So for the market metrics, we're not going to worry too much about those because it does have an impact, but I know this area pretty well and it's not going to impact the rents. Like if I was buying out of state, would definitely want to do my research on the market metrics just to get an understanding if I'm buying in an area that's, have lower median income, higher median income, population wise, make sure there's demand for it. But we'll save that for now. All right, so we're looking at 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. There's 2 units. I said right now for those conditions, probably I'd say like $1,200 a month you could get for that. And then once you do the renovations, about $1,550 per month. A huge thing with the washer and dryer. So we did see a washer and dryer in there. If you can move those into the units, we've seen that is very desirable for the tenants. So if you're able to, handy enough or have a contractor that can move the washer and dryer into the units, that would raise rent, and it would also rent quicker too. So your turnover time is lower, which is good because that's more money in your pocket. All right, so we're doing $28,800 a year in the top line revenue. Vacancy loss, let's do 2%. No, let's do 5%. Do 5% on the stabilized side as well. It's a little bit on the high side, I would say, but we'll go with it for now. We can adjust them down the road. Utilities, you're only going to be covering water, trash, and sewer, but for the utilities here, let's go with trash and water. Sewer is going to be incorporated with the taxes, and that's just something you'll get to know when you're involved with the market, that specific market. I would say you're looking at probably $150 per month for both units. So times 12, it's $1,800 per year. We'll keep that for the stabilized as well. Maintenance and repairs, let's do 5% of the top line revenue as well. Make sure that's negative. We might drop that down to 4 or 3.5, but we'll keep that there. Pest control, yep. No replacement reserves. Insurance for this place, probably around, let's go $1,500 per year. And that's not really going to change once you do the renovations. All right, taxes. So let's take a look at the taxes. Going on to the MLS to take a look at these, but you also can look at the taxes just going to the town, city, or village, their website, looking up the property, and getting them from there. So 4,109. I would just want to confirm this with the website, like I just mentioned, but for this sake and time's sake, we'll call that about accurate. And again, this is high level, so we're looking at a property, just via the internet, Zillow, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be like 3 stages. So it's going to be this stage. There's going to be calling the realtor, verifying that everything is correct with the property, with your assumptions about the condition of the property, financial assumptions, any other information that they have. And then there's going to be the 3rd step, which is actually going to the property and verifying that everything the realtor said, everything that you're thinking about is accurate. But again, this is high level, just seeing if this will pencil out or not. So we say 4,105, I believe. Okay, so that's basically it for the underwriting. As you can see, it didn't take more than 4 minutes to put this together. So, all right, we're looking at a NOI of $18,511, which is roughly a 6% cap rate. Not bad. Okay, so let's take a look at our financing here. So we're doing an 80 LTV, which you probably can get that a little bit lower depending on your situation. You could probably maybe only put 15 or 10% down. Let's keep it with 80 for now. 6.8 is a little bit high. Rates have been creeping up over the last month and a half, but let's keep it at 6. Let's go 6.2 for now. And that's about it. So yeah, so that's about it on the numbers side. So in the current state, it's not ideal. You're going to be making about $600 a year. That's just in cash flow. So that doesn't leave too much for for your takeaway each year. If you're 100% occupied, you'll be making about $1,546. A very low ROI here, but I would probably drop down the utilities a bit. Let's go 125 per month. And then, I mean, the biggest thing is the purchase price. So I think everything else we can keep the same here. The maintenance and repairs, this is going to stay the same. So let's, for the stabilized, let's say that's the same. So the biggest thing I would argue would be, of course, the purchase price, like I mentioned. So let's just see what others have sold for in the area. All right. So we got 326. What does this one look like? Again, our area is right down here. So a little bit larger property, bedroom. Yeah, so I wouldn't say that's very comparable. This is 210. A little bit smaller of a property, so that might work out to be roughly what they're asking right now when you look at it from a per square foot basis. And then 270. Okay. So I would say high twos is a fair price. Again, very high level. I'm just trying to see if this is going to pencil out or not. Going in, I would at least look for a 5% return. So let's see if 280 would get us there. Okay. That's a bit closer. And again, that's at $1,200 a month. We haven't confirmed what the current rents are or if there are tenants in there. This is kind of just a high level estimate. But if they're $1,200 a month, $1,300 a month, we can adjust that once we get the information back from the agent. But let's take a look at stabilized. So when we do the stabilized calculations, we want to make sure that our loan is correct. So we'll go over to the refinancing here. We are doing a refinance, LTV. I bet they'll let you take out 80%. Interest rate 5.5. Hopefully they do come down a bit. It'll still be a 30-year amortization. All right, 6.5 cap rate. I'd say that's pretty solid for a cap rate, but let's be a little more conservative and say it's a 7. So that puts the value at 382. So, kind of forced appreciation, rough numbers. After you do your renovations, you're going to be, having about $100,000 worth of equity in the property, and then of course you'll take some of that out and refinance when you do the refinance. But from the return perspective, I mean that's not bad. You're looking 7.5% return. If you're 100% occupied for the year, you're looking close to 10%. So at your cash flow with accounting for vacancy, that's very close to your $500 a month per unit. And that's what a lot of people go by. And then if you're 100% occupied, you're making more than that, which is, I would say, above average. That's great for you, great for your investment. And then you pulled money out so you can pay yourself back for the renovations or move on to the next deal and purchase the exact same thing. Or maybe you go ahead, you got used to this property and managing the tenants and the maintenance for this property, and now you can go buy a 8 or 10 or 12 unit, whatever you want to go into. We did forget to adjust this, but this doesn't have any calculation. It doesn't. None of the cells there apply to the calculations we made. So yeah, this is a rough breakdown of the first stage in analyzing a property. Like I said, first stage is getting the numbers that are presented to you either on Zillow, the MLS, or your own research. And then stage two is calling the agent. If that all pans out and you think that you can make this deal pencil, then you want to call the agent, verify your numbers, and maybe he'll have something else that he's going to share with you regarding the condition of the property or the current tenant situation. And then stage three is going to the property, verifying what you've created, the numbers that you forecasted, and the details the agent gave you. And of course, looking at the area, the street, and then that would be, your third step. And then from there, you can put in an offer. But that's usually how I break it down, those three steps, and then go ahead and submit an offer. The one thing that I did forget to mention, this property does have a garage, which is great because a lot of tenants, look for that in-unit washer and dryer, but then also a garage to keep their car because we're in Buffalo, New York. We do get a lot of snow in the winter. And if you can prevent, that, and if you can prevent, your tenants from going out earlier in the morning to shovel off the snow, that's very sought after in this area. And you do have a pretty nice driveway and a backyard. So if you do want pets in there, a lot of tenants bring their pets. They like a backyard. So, that's also very, very, very appealing. So another thing I would just consider is, freshening up the outside a bit. This looks like aluminum siding, so it is durable, and you can paint it if there are any chips or decoloration, whatever it might be. Roof looks fairly new. I would just paint this white so it matches with the rest of the house. And you can that's a nice thing too. So when you have the tenants in there, you're cash flowing, you can do all the exterior renovations as long as you have the capital with them there. So it's not like you're intruding upon their property. You also want to be considerate and not block the driveway if they need to get out, or not cause a lot of noise if you're doing that renovation. But it's nice because you can work on it little by little on the outside, and then maybe when the winter comes or whenever the tenants leave, you can do your renovations on the inside. So yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys need help underwriting a property or have questions, leave those questions down below and reach out to me in the comments as well, with regards to the property you're looking at, and maybe we can set up a time and I can help you through it and just give my perspective on it. Again, if you guys got value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It means a lot to me, helps the algorithm so this video gets spread to more people, and I can help more individuals out like you in your current situation. So thank you again, guys. And the next video I'm going to upload is going to be about the apartment. So you'll see our updates. So I'm excited to get your guys' opinion, and we'll talk soon. Take care.